A woman called a kid the N-word on a playground in Minnesota and got filmed saying it. This incident happened a couple months ago. And of course, at the time, the internet was outraged. The solution to this was a $1 million fundraising race. Basically, she started a Give, Send, Go to protect her family. NAACP started one to help the kid. This entire situation highlighted this kind of weird aspect of modern society where these polarizing situations happen, and then people can kind of like vote what side they're on with money and then see who makes more. The thing with something like this, both of these sides are now addicted, not just to the money, but to like the dopamine of being right. Like nobody is solving racism here, okay? They're subscribing to it. When you cannot even imagine fixing a problem, you just monetize the fight instead. You know, racism, mass shootings, whatever. None of these are crises anymore. They're content categories. Because the algorithm, it doesn't give a shit who's right. It just cares about engagement. So the fundraisers, the clicks, all this shit, they matter more than the actual harm done to the kid. The spectacle has replaced reality itself. Because look, resolution kills engagement, but conflict is eternal. Welcome to the void. What happened in Minnesota, it's not some error in the system, okay? It is the system. The moment that woman dropped the hard R, two things happened, okay? First, obviously the outrage, but then second, perhaps more importantly, the positioning. She frames herself as a victim. The kid's family becomes like this symbol for righteous struggle. And people rush to pick sides, not to solve anything, but just to kind of wear a jersey in the conflict. You got one side crying, defend free speech. The other is like, protect the child. But ultimately, they're both playing the same game, okay? The outrage is the product. We're living inside what Mark Fisher called capitalist realism. When you can't imagine actually solving a problem, you can only pick a team within it. And this is what the internet basically trains you to do, right? Don't fix anything. Just pick a side, fund the fight, post about it. And again, racism, politics, even celebrity beefs, they're all packaged neatly as content. They're like revenue streams feeding news outlets, influencers, crowdfunding platforms, the algorithm itself. And this is where most people miss what's actually going on, okay? This isn't just tribal warfare. It's a wholesale hijacking of reality itself. Most people think that they're like debating politics or defending their values. They're not. They're trapped in frame battles. And this gets really dangerous when the frame battle becomes more real than the original event itself. Baudrillard called this hyper-reality, right? The hyper-real becomes more real than the real. The spectacle devours the event. The outrage outlives the reality. That's why nobody gives a shit about real solutions anymore, right? Real problems are not profitable. But the image of the problem, right, the outrage, the conflict, that's endless engagement. It's like ka-ching, that's money. The system does not want solutions. What it wants you to be fucking pissed off. It wants you to keep clicking. Because look, you're not supposed to win this game. You're just here to fuel it. But once you see how all this absurdity is kind of engineered to trap you, now you have a choice. You can keep getting played, or you can learn to weaponize absurdity itself. What happens in media culture happens in microcosm every single time you walk into a room or start a conversation. It's the same battle. It's just kind of scaled down. And that's where charisma comes in, because the same psychological tactics that are used to exploit your outrage, we teach those tactics to win socially, to lead confidently, to control the room. And look, let's be real. Right now, when you walk into a room, most likely, nobody gives a fuck. Your ideas, they get ignored. Your presence is kind of just forgettable. Your attempts to be liked are cringy and desperate and fucking transparent. Every time that you attempt to assert yourself, you get overruled, interrupted, pushed aside. And look, you feel it every fucking day. They don't respect you. They don't notice you because deep down, you know you haven't earned it. And it's not because you're stupid. It's not because you're not trying. It's because nobody ever fucking trained you how to do that. Now imagine this. You walk into the room, you actually command attention. People lean in. They're captivated by what you say. The frame doesn't bend you. You bend it. That's not luck, okay? That's trained power. The power to do what? The power to dominate chaotic social environments. Okay, this is your chance. Keep losing forever? or come train with me and own every room that you enter for the rest of your fucking life. Click the link in the description. Click it right now or stay ignored. I mean, absurdity has already been weaponized by the media, by corporations, by politicians, etc., etc. If you don't start weaponizing it back, you don't stand a fucking chance. Every conversation that you walk into, hell, even just standing there silently in a group, you're in a frame battle. That's why we don't just train people to like have confidence or make small talk. That's a bunch of bullshit. We train people to weaponize absurdity, to take the very same forces that are being used to exploit the public and turn them into presence and influence. Okay? Pattern interrupts, controlling the emotional tempo, broadcasting aliveness, regulating your nervous system to be an anchor while other people react to you. Now you might be thinking, okay, cool, Jeff, whatever, but how do you actually apply this? How do you take this sort of high concept philosophy and turn it into actual real world results? When you go out socially, you got to understand something very critical here, okay? Everybody's fucking bored. They've seen it all before. The same old scripts, the same old bullshit. If you don't give them something different to talk about, boom, they're gone. They're gone mentally, immediately, even if they stay physically. Logic will not save you out there. Modern social life is not built on fucking logic and reason. Nobody's listening to explanations. Your message either hits immediately or boom, it just gets filtered out. Because again, everybody is running an RAS, a reticular activating system. This is basically a neurological filter that discards anything irrelevant, okay? If it's not dangerous, discard it. Not new or exciting, ignore it. Too predictable, summarize it and file it away. This is where absurdity becomes your weapon, okay? Why? Absurdity breaks patterns. It shocks people out of that autopilot and it grabs their attention like a fucking gunshot. It forces them to pay attention and keep their eyes on you, waiting for your next move. Because look, like I said a moment ago, the very second that they can figure out what you're doing when you approach, they immediately tune your ass out, right? Oh, another one of these guys. Done. Nobody takes a meeting to talk about something they already understand. But absurdity, they cannot immediately decode it, right? So they try to figure it out. Now you control the frame. Every social interaction is a frame battle, okay? Two realities collide and the stronger reality wins and everyone else adapts. That becomes the consensus reality. But real frame control, it doesn't come from like being dominant or fucking alpha tactics. It comes from becoming emotionally relevant to people. Again, you do not convince people logically. You have to shift their emotional state. Most people, they stay stuck in the first two levels of conversation. Cliches, hey, how's it going? And like superficial information exchange. Where are you from? What do you do? And yes, those two levels can create basic likability and maybe even trust, but persuasion does not live there. Persuasion lives deeper on the levels of opinions and emotions, because that pizzazz of attraction, right? That spark that makes people engage and actually take action, that cannot coexist with logic. You know, a lot of times you might notice people start like kind of pressing you with logical questions. It's not because they're trying to derail the conversation. In reality, they just fucking suck at conversation, right? Most people are going to default to logic because they just don't know what else to say. You cannot reward or feed into the analysis frame. So if they press you to give logical response, answer quickly and then pivot right back to humor, emotion, and absurdity. Because again, it's relatively easy to make somebody like you and hell, even trust you on a superficial level, but to move them towards action, whether that's closing a sale, going on an adventure with you, making a bold decision, to do those things, you've got to spark a deep burning desire inside of them. You have to resonate emotionally. You got to give them something different to talk about. Give them something fresh, something unexpected. And then, crucially, you have to make it easy for them to go along with you without feeling weird or guilty about it, right? You got to smoothly guide them past their internal hesitations. You got to remove all logistical friction, and then you turn that shared interaction into something irresistible to them. What that is the essence of charisma and persuasion. If you master this, you're no longer just you're not talking to people, you're sculpting the conversations like a lucid dream. You are the center. But the thing is, you can't fake this. If your absurdity, if it feels gimmicky or shticky, you come across as needy or fucking weird. And neediness is the charisma killer, right? Neediness is like hoping for someone's approval. Weaponized absurdity is projecting the frame yourself. That's why in my mentoring and my boot camp, we train this relentlessly. Not just to be like weird for weird's sake, but to seize control of the simulation that everyone else is sort of like just passively living in. And when you can do that, you stop just witnessing the spectacle and you start directing it. And again, you know, I know this might sound a little bit abstract here, but it's not. We train this in real life. Every week, every city, every student. Day one of boot camp, most students, they kind of freeze in the chaos, right? They revert to that old persona-based approach, right? Polite, agreeable, nice guy, hoping to be liked. And of course, that shit just crumbles immediately. But by the final day, something inside of them changes, right? They stop chasing approval and trying to say the right shit. They start weaponizing the absurd. They stop fearing the chaos and they start bending it. And when that happens, well, they're not just talking to people and having better conversations. Now they're changing how people feel. And that is the key to everything. If absurdity remains something that just happens to you, you're already fucking lost. But if you learn how to harness it, control it, weaponize it, then you're not just surviving the chaos, now you're orchestrating it. And that's when you literally start bending the simulation yourself. Weaponized absurdity, it's not a mindset, okay? It's a fucking survival skill. Because the world is rigged against you. Don't just bear witness to the spectacle, own it. Click the link, train with me. Stop clinging to rules. These old rules built for a world that no longer exists and isn't fucking coming back, ever. Instead, become the person who creates reality, not just consumes it. That's not theory, okay? That's exactly what we train. Click the link, stop reacting, start creating. This is Jeffy, and I'll see you next time.
I just came back from a workshop last weekend with Jeffy, and I gotta say it was a great experience. Jeffy is the man. If you have any doubts, add some major unlocks in my communication. And if you're just running around in circle, wondering what is the next best thing you need to do in order to get to the next level, well, I think you got it right in front of you. So just pull the trigger, do it for yourself, and let me know how it goes. Cheers.